السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. أمسينا وأمسى الملك لله والحمد لله، لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. ربي أسألك خير ما في هذه الليلة وخير ما بعدها. ربي أعوذ بك من شر ما في هذه الليلة ومن شر ما بعدها. ربي أعوذ بك من الكسل وسوء الكبر. ربي أعوذ بك من عذاب في النار ومن عذاب في القبر. آمين. بسم الله الذي لا إله سواه، والحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا أبدا سرمدا، حمدا يليق بجلاله وجماله وكماله وعظيم سلطانه وجزيل نعمائه، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف أنبيائه سيدنا مولانا حبيب الله وخليل الله رحمة الله المهداة سيدنا مولانا محمد، وعلى آله الطاهرين الطيبين وأصحابه الغر الميامين والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اجعلنا منهم. آمين. We continue, inshallah ta'ala, through our journey on the internal, interdimensional, spiritual and external aspects of fasting the month of Ramadan and the fiqh of fasting the month of Ramadan. What was the last thing we spoke about last week? Yes. Is it done with? No? It's done with, inshallah ta'ala, but in the coming few weeks we will talk more about some more details, as I will inform you about the current state of the science and the current state of the fiqh and the current state of the observational recordings, inshallah ta'ala. So we continue in that regard, having spoken last time. Indeed, the last we addressed was, because the question of fiqh is always addressed in the chapters of the fiqh of fasting of the siyam, bima tathbutu ar-ru'ya. So that's why we discussed that. Bima tathbutu ar-ru'ya. What makes a ru'ya, sighting of the crescent, reliable and acceptable and authoritative? It's always studied in fiqh as we study the chapter of siyam. First of all, how do we begin fasting, which is unanimously ru'ya, sighting, and then they ask the question, what makes ru'ya reliable or authoritative as well? And that's how we discussed it, why we discussed it last time, inshallah ta'ala. And remember, last year we have discussed with you that aspect throughout few weeks of discussions. We have discussed that in more details, and perhaps we will do that again, and at some level, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Having said that, now let us continue. I'm going to begin with an interdimensional aspect and go to an external fiqh aspect. All are important. And do remember, my very dear brothers and sisters, and I hope we take these words at heart. The essence of fasting, the reality of fasting, as you have learned and you know by now, and I hope I know also, and I hope we are learning to internalize and to practice. That the essence of fasting is not only refraining from food and drink. That's an external requirement. It is required. It's part of the arkan, as we shall see, of siyam. Al-imsaku anil mufattirat. If one eats deliberately or drinks, then the fasting is nil, is invalid, and then would have committed major sin, wal-'iyadhu billah. Yes, it is important to know that and to realize that, but as you are knowing and realizing, that's not the essence of fasting. The essence of fasting is much deeper than that. With that, external dimension is intended to help us be aware of the interdimensional and spiritual aspects of Sawm. So let's see an example. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, for instance, and when you read that text and if you ponder a little while and we give ourselves time to sit and to ponder, you will see that the message is very clear. And listen to it with me. I know you have heard this text before, but sometimes we read the texts or we hear them, but we do not ponder them properly. Sometimes because we're not ready yet. Sometimes we're not mature yet. Sometimes we're not spiritually receptive or mature yet. And sometimes, simply put it differently, we are sealed. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. There is light to come, but we are sealed. We are like a black hole. It doesn't allow light to be reflected. It drains everything. May Allah help us not be black holes. May Allah help us be, inshallah ta'ala, bodies and souls that reflect His light, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Rab, absorb some of it and reflect some of it. Bi-idhnihi azza wa jal. So, when he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in what is authentically related by Bukhari and others, إِذَا كَانَ يَوْمَ صَوْمِ أَحَدِكُمْ فَلَا يَرْفُثْ وَلَا يَصْخَبْ وَلَا يَجْهَلْ وَإِنْ شَاتَمَهُ أَحَدٌ أَوْ قَاتَلَهُ فَلْيَقُلْ إِنِّي صَائِمٌ إِنِّي صَائِمٌ. End of quote. So when Rasulullah tells us this, which means when it is the day of any one of you to fast, that is whether it is Ramadan or supererogatory fasting, nafila fasting, whether fard fasting such as Ramadan or supererogatory nafila fasting. So he says, if the day of you fasting comes, I'm going to fast tomorrow or I'm fasting today, فلا يرفث ولا يصخب ولا يجهل. لا يرفث. الرفث specifically means do not indulge into sensual, marital relationship, meaning the entering into a sexual relationship with the spouse, for instance. Technically, but generally it means فَلَا يَرْفُث. Rafath is sometimes to act in ways that are improper, to act in ways that are explosive, immoral, unclean. وَلَا يَصْخَبْ. And second, لَا يَصْخَبْ. Don't be high-tempered. Don't be loud. Don't yell, don't scream. Sakhab, one of the characteristics of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as described in the ancient scriptures, as it is said to us in hadith, لَيْسَ بِالصَّخَّابِ فِي الْأَسْوَاقِ. He's not one who raises his voice in markets as do generally people do in those days, especially even a special person. When it comes to suq, people raise their voices and yell. He's not sahab, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So, وَلَا يَصْخَبْ. We do not raise our voices. We do not scream. We do not yell. I.e., we do not argue. Because usually that leads to sahab. That leads to raising voices and to yelling and to screaming. And some people do that disrespectfully and terribly and in such an ugly way, even where? In a masjid. Because on account of something that doesn't suit us, that doesn't suit them, for whatever reason, even in the masjid, they don't feel that they are in the abode, the house of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they show no respect for that. Or even in the Kaaba, in front of the Kaaba, or even in front of the qabr of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Those of us who are stubborn and too egotistic and too selfish look for nothing else to respect except themselves. and therefore raise voices, especially in disagreement or when there is lack of contentment on their part. صوم لا تسخط ولا يجهل, and do not act foolishly. Jahl is really to act in a foolish way. Jahl means also ignorance, but يعني تصرف هذا الإنسان كان جهلا. The behavior of this person was jahl, meaning it's improper, it's foolish. And of course, ignorance leads to foolish behavior, and foolish words, and foolish actions, improper, unworthy, disrespectful, debasing. ولا يجهل. Don't do that when you are صائم. When you are صائم, don't do that. But then one would say, like implicitly, Ya Rasulullah, what happened if, these things happen when we are discontent, when there is disagreement, when somebody wrongs us, or when we think we're wronged, then what do we do? So it's like he answers that question not said in this text. So he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, after that, وَإِنْ أَوْ فَإِنْ شَاتَمَهُ أَحَدٌ أَوْ قَاتَلَهُ. And then if someone comes and abuses you verbally, or fights with you physically, and I'm waiting. Yarhamukallah. If you don't say it, you don't get Yarhamukallah. That's a gift conditional, as Rasulullah says, so make sure everybody hears it, so that they all tell you, Yarhamukallah, oh, alhamdulillah. He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam instructs us in this way. That if someone comes and abuses me, abuses you verbally, شَاتَمَهُ, and seeks to trigger you to reciprocate abuse, verbal abuse. شَاتَمَهُ, لوزني فاعل, not شَتَمَهُ only. شَاتَمَهُ, seeks that two-way give and take. أو قاتله, and seeks to fight with you, fights you physically, or seeks to fight with you physically, then respond. He literally says, then say twice, I am fasting, I am fasting. إني صائم, إني صائم. And subhanAllah, what does that mean, إني صائم? إني صائم meaning I don't eat and I don't drink and I don't copulate between dawn and sunset. What does that have to do with this? إني صائم here is expressing the reality, the essence of fasting. I am fasting. Because fasting is about withholding and restraining and controlling and being disciplined. And Sawm of my mind and myself and my senses are in Sawm. My eyes are in Sawm. My ears are in Sawm. My tongue is in Sawm. I'm not going to let my Sawm not be in Sawm. My tongue not be in Sawm. My tongue is in Sawm. It's not going to do the usual things I was doing before. I'm not going to say anything to you. إني صائم, إني صائم. My hands are in siyam. I'm not going to strike at you. My legs are in siyam. I'm not going to kick you, etc. إني صائم. And better yet, my heart is in Sawm. I'm not going to even hold moods and feelings inside that are ugly about you. Inni صائم. But as Allah teaches us in Surah Al-Furqan, in general, what does He say about عباد الرحمن? وإذا خاطبهم الجاهلون قالوا سلاما. And when the fools address them, the fools, the ignorant fools, and a ignorant fool is the one who comes thinking they are something, acting ignorantly, foolishly, rudely, ruthlessly, unintelligently, arrogantly, deludedly, thinking they are something, thinking the others are less, or they don't know what they are. But they respond, knowing all of that, they are fools and they are jahala. So the response is not going to be the same at all. Instead, the response is salam. They speak words that have peaceful meanings. Or they say, salam on you. Peace be with you and upon you. And they leave. This is soul. This is soul. This is the essence of soul. And if this is not enough, listen to what he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. من لم يدع قول الزور والعمل به فليس لله حاجة في أن يدع طعامه وشرابه. End of quote, as related by Abu Dawud and Nasa'i and many others. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in other words, if someone is fasting, whether Ramadan or outside of Ramadan, is fasting and does not withhold and does not refrain from qawl az-zur, speech that is false and false testimony, and speaking about others, especially that which is not true. Az-zur. Lying is zur. Lying is zur. Cheating is zur. But sometimes specifically zur may mean the false testimony. Wal-'iyadhu billah. The person who does not desist from that and does not desist from acting upon that. And he gave an example. He did not intend here, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, most likely to be exclusive and to be exhaustive. This is an example. If you don't stop this and other things similar to this, like the previous hadith mentioned, then he said that لَيْسَ لِلَّهِ حَاجَةٌ فِي أَنْ يَدَعَ طَعَامَهُ وَشَرَابَهُ. Allah is in no need that such a person refrains from eating and drinking. Billahi alaykum, what does this mean? What does this mean? Isn't it telling you and me very clearly, if we listen with our hearts, what really fasting is about? And if I don't stop from these things, from using my senses, my eyes, my ears, my tongue, my hands, my legs, my drives, my resources, my power, my knowledge, if I don't stop using these things in ways that are hurtful and immoral and unethical and illegal even, if I don't stop doing that, then my fasting is benefitless. Let me put it this way. I'm not saying this means I should not fast at all. That's double jeopardy. Wal-'iyadhu billah. That's worse even. But the essence of soul is not there. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, رُبَّ صَائِمٍ لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ إِلَّا who knows? إِلَّا الْجُوعِ وَرُبَّ قَائِمٍ لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ قِيَامِهِ إِلَّا السَّهَرُ. Yes, indeed. What does this say? Isn't it very clear when he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that there are those who fast, rubba, sometimes, some people. There are some people who fast, and the only benefit they extract or they reap is what? He calls it benefit. That's sarcasm, sort of intelligent sarcasm. The only benefit they reap is hunger. That's it. Who is this one who fasts and the only benefit he gets is hunger, which means he's losing everything? He's a person, again, who fasts, stops eating and drinking and kada, but doesn't stop. Examples. These things, disregarding these meaning, doesn't stop being angry at people, doesn't stop abusing people, doesn't stop being high-tempered, doesn't stop being arrogant, doesn't stop being demanding, doesn't stop being spiteful and full of grudges and hateful, doesn't stop from his or her usual tasarruf, behavior that is inconsistent with the values of our deen, inconsistent with the moral values of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and still is envious, violently envious, yani hasud, ladud, and does not stop sowing seeds of animosity, sowing affliction and fitna seeds, being so selfish and egotistic. هذا صيامه كمن لا صيام له. This is the essence of Sawm. This is a very, very, very important interdimensional aspect of Sawm. So please, حفظنا وإياكم الله, keep that in mind and implore Allah to help us do that. That when, especially when we fast, at home our behavior, how is it? At home, how is it? At the masjid, how is it? At work, how is it? In the streets, how is it? At school, how is it? In the gym, how is it? In agreement, how is it? In disagreement, how is it? Fast, fast or don't fast. Keep that in mind. This is what it is intended to do. To the extent that if I'm not fasting yet, I'm abusing others, and I'm not refraining from what I should refrain from morally and ethically, then my fast is against me, not for me. But you realize, my dear brothers and sisters, that this doesn't happen if our qulub are not somehow connected to Allah Azza wa Jal. It doesn't happen. If we just think here, it stops in the head. Sometimes it's not even in the head. Or it's just at the tip of the tongue, and we know many things, we memorize many things, and we say many things. But if there is not some alaqa, some rabita, some relation, some connectedness with Allah Azza wa Jal in the internal spiritual realm inside of you, these things will not be handy and available to us when we need them. That bond has to always be there. That channel between us and Allah Azza wa Jal has always to be alive and clear inside. But if it's not there, and it's not, and even if we know a lot, most likely we will not respond in these ways. Arkan al-Siyam, in the now external technical sense, the inner requirements and the inner pillars of fasting. Of course, all of you know, Arkan, by now you should know that, we talked about that a few times before. The plural of which word Arkan is? Rukn. And what does Rukn literally mean? No, literally. Literally, that's technically, that's fiqhi sense. And a pillar, yeah. Or mostly, actually, Rukn is a corner. The Rukn, because it's safe there. That's usually where the two walls meet. That strengthens that's the strength of the house. And also means pillar, Sariya, Rukn. Awi ila ruknin shadid, as is in the Quran. So Rukn is that which is the support and the support structure for a structure. When it is not there, the structure crumbles, collapses. So every Rukn of anything means it's essentially necessary. Without it, that for which it is Rukn does not exist. In this case, in the fiqh sense. So, a rukn of salah example. Give me one example of one rukn in salah. Wudu, right? Wudu is rukn, right? No. No, stop first. Stop first. He said wudu. He said wudu is rukn. Wudu is not rukn. But you are technically almost right when you say wudu. Because it's not actually rukn, it is what? Shart. It is shart, not rukn. And there's a difference between shart and rukn. And some of you translate both as condition and prerequisite. Right? There's a difference between rukn and shart. Do you want to know the difference? Do you want to know? Khalas, then this is a little bit of usul al-fiqh, basic usul al-fiqh. Now, the similarity between rukn and shart is that each one of them is necessary for that for which they are rukn or shart. Rukn of salah, shart of salah. In other words, if a rukn is not there or the shart is not there, that salah does not exist hukman. It does not exist even if you do that. You perform salah physically, but it doesn't exist shari'i wise. Doesn't exist. Because it missed a rukn or a shart, or if it missed all of them, of course, that's even worse. So rukn and shart are the same in this sense. No rukn, no shart, no existence of that for which they are rukn or shart. But the only difference is that rukn is internal to the identity of that for which it is rukn, and shart is external, an external attribute, an external sifa for that for which it is shart, but rukn is an internal sifa. Rukn is an internal sifa, not outside. Now give me an example of a rukn of salah. Wudu was outside of salah. It's not part of salah. So that's a shart. An example, it cannot be rukn if it's not inside it. So, for example, sujood, ruku', qiyam, etc. First takbirah, Allahu Akbar. All of these are? Yeah, but because I was addressing first when you said the word that it is wudu. And I said, stop that for now, let's deal with this issue. So after that, after it is cleared the difference between rukn and shart, and that wudu is shart and not rukn, then yes, those are good examples. So, if I come to salah, and I say, I come to salah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, and I forgot what? Allahu Akbar. Takbiratul Ihram. And lo and behold, I finish my salah, and somehow, oh, I missed Takbiratul Ihram. So, Alhamdulillah, what do I do? 2 sajdat saw, and it's done, right? Good. Why is that? Because it is rukn, and rukn is not rectified by simply sujood as-saw. Since I missed that, all my salah did not exist. It had no existence in the Shari'i sense. I have to do it again. In this case, because I stopped all the way until the end, and it's the first thing, Takbiratul Ihram. So I have to do all of that again, and at the end do Sajdat al-Ihram. Because I didn't do it deliberately. Doing it deliberately is a major dhanb. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ جُرْمٌ عَظِيمٌ كَبِيرَةٌ مِنَ الْكَبَائِرِ. To deliberately give up something that it is farz or rukn. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. Now, so when we say rukn of siyam, meaning if it is not there, then the siyam does not exist. Of course, what is the first thing of that? Of the arkan is al-imsaku عن المفطرات, obviously, as the fuqaha put it. Al-imsaku عن المفطرات is to restrain and refrain from taking anything that would invalidate or nullify or break my fasting. Al-mufattirat, anything that goes in here to eat or to drink, or also the la haya fi din, the sexual relationships that would nullify and render nil the sawm. So that everybody, I suppose, knows. الإمساك عن المفطرات ركن من أركان الصيام, as it is well established in the Quran and in the Sunnah. كلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل, as Allah Azza wa Jalla says in Surah Al-Baqarah about the ayat of Siyam, which are indicating that refraining from mufattirat, from dawn to sunset, is what the ayah enjoins and it commands. And therefore it is a fard and rukn as well. That you all know, inshallah. You also know that in this case also one of the arkan of siyam, though some call it shart, the next one. And what is it? An-niyah. My intention. That I'm, in this case, the intention to fast. Because there are intentions. There is intention, niyyah, for many things. Now this here is the niyyah to fast. The niyyah to fast must be there. And the niyyah is not something external, it's something inside of us. It's in the qalb, it's in the mind, it's in the heart. I should be in that mood, I should be in that awareness. I should not be doing acts of ibadah, worshipping Allah like, forgive me, like a person who is incapacitated or asleep or majnoon or unaware or dead or a zombie. You know, ibadah should be done with a qalb that is aware, conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That I am in ibadah and I intend this ibadah. And therefore, niyyah is a requirement, either a rukn or a shart, because this is what is, because the act of niyyah, is it before I begin to fast or during the fast? So those who argue that it is outside of the fast, they would call it shart. Those who would argue it is inside of it anyway, somehow they would argue it is rukn, like in the Shafi'i school. And therefore that's very important. And many of you know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did teach us in authentic hadith that the niyyah must be for every day, must be the night before the break of Fajr, of dawn, of the day during which we fast. As he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, مَنْ لَمْ يُجْمِعَ الصِّيَامَ مِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَلَا صِيَامَ لَهُ. As he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أو مَنْ لَمْ يُجْمِعَ الصِّيَامَ أيضا قبل الفجر فَلَا صِيَامَ لَهُ, as related by Imam Ahmad and in the Sunan. That the person who does not decide internally, yujmir, that is inside of you, gathers the energies inside of him, the intent to fast for the next day before dawn, then he has no sawm, or she has no sawm. Everybody knows that? Did anybody know otherwise? Raise your hands. Everybody knows that. I'll come to that, inshallah. First of all, as we said, niyyah is internal. Is an internal act, is an internal mood, is an internal emotion. And verbalizing it, many ulama hold it is makruh or bid'ah. Makruh. But in the earlier days, sometimes some people used to be perhaps trained to do that. In earlier days when Islam spread to other places where they are not well versed with the Arabic, with the deen first, many scholars felt the need to teach them to be in niyyah. So they would teach them, say this, say that, to help them sometimes by saying something, then we internalize it. Once we internalize it, khalas. Once you internalize it, khalas. Like a person who is La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, and wants something else to happen. La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, and tries to focus until he gets to the point where his heart now is saying La ilaha illallah. So he stops. And his heart continues. His heart continues. So when they teach niyyah, rahimahullah ta'ala, perhaps to say verbalize it, some of them, perhaps this is the intent. Otherwise, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not teach us to verbalize the niyyah. And that is before dawn for the next day for the month of Ramadan. But when it comes to fasting, supererogatory fast, nafila, like sunan and so on, nawafil, ulama are of the opinion, if not all of them, most of them, that we do not have to have the niyyah before that. You may have the niyyah even during the day itself, as some texts from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also indicate. And therefore, they say you can have it during the day. In the school of Imam Abu Hanifa, yes, but it should be before midday, because they are based on some athar, on some teachings of the early Salaf and so on. So they mention that. Others say it doesn't matter when. If you're fasting, nafila fast, you may, in other words, during the morning you didn't eat anything up till now, and something says, subhanAllah, why don't you fast? See? Something says, go ahead and eat. Go ahead and eat, enjoy it. Don't have to fast. Something says, stop this Shaban. You say, Shaban, did you fast any day this month? A few days. Take the opportunity. So there's that struggle inside. And if the person says, alhamdulillah, Allah gives him or her tawfiq, I'm going to fast. They may do that. To start whenever that niyyah began inside of you, burst inside of you to be in state of sawm. So you may begin to do that for the nafila siyam. Of course you all know, and you should know, but sometimes reviewing things is helpful, and some of us maybe don't know. When they ask the question in fiqh, ala man yajibu sawmu shahri Ramadan, upon whom is it obligatory to fast the month of Ramadan? Who knows? Do you know how to enumerate them? Yes. The man who's capable, okay? The child who reaches the age of puberty. The woman who's not in her menstrual period. A what? A sane person. Huh? Oh, I heard something. Say that again. Muslim, baligh, aqil. Huh? Ahsan. And you have to add also the woman who is not hubla wala nufasa wala fi hayd. So that's it. Yeah, indeed, it is obligatory upon a Muslim. Upon a Muslim. Baligh, having reached the age of puberty and beyond. Aqil, sane of mind, not crazy, not mentally handicapped and incapacitated, for example. How many are these? 4, right? Aqil. And then also sahih, healthy, not sick, not ill. And what else also? That he is muqim, not musafir. Right, you missed that. If the person is musafir, is a traveler, then fasting is not obligatory upon him or her, as you know. And a woman must not be in her menses, nor nufasa, not having given birth already to a baby, and she's in that nafas stage. These are the qualities or attributes of people upon whom it is obligatory. That you must know. So if you see somebody eating, look at this kafir, look at this fasiq. That's the average people respond that way. A person of ilm, what would he say to himself? Maybe he's traveling. Maybe he's what? Sick. Maybe he's right? Maybe actually he just forgot. Sahu. Saha. Yeah. Have you ever seen people, somebody breaking his or her fast because saha, he forgot. Actually, he forgot that he was fasting or she was fasting. And assume you saw that publicly. And then you didn't say you saw it from far, and then you go after that person, Ya Latif. You know, I saw him. Yes, you saw him. What did you see? Why did you see what you saw? Why was he doing that? Very careful. To know is very important. So if you know these things, apply them first in this way. Apply them first in this way. And not pass judgments for which you will be sorry on the day of judgment. Inshallah. May Allah help us all. Amen. At this point, is there any question? Yes. Now, the niyyah, as long as that intent has occurred before Fajr, any time at night. Any time at night. Let's say, tonight you ate iftar and then you went to Taraweeh. Aren't you in the mood of fasting the next day? Is that in your mind or not? In your mind. Because niyyah, alhamdulillah, you don't have to utter it. Was it in your mind or not? Khalas. That's niyyah. But if it was not at all, somehow it happens, and that could happen. I used to think that does not happen. I think it does. It might happen. Otherwise, they wouldn't even mention it. Our fuqaha are very bright, very far-sighted, very spiritual, and very practical. Rahimahullah ta'ala. So that does occur and has occurred. So as long as the niyyah is any time at night, some say from muntasaf al-layl and on. As long as the niyyah is there, khalas, any time. It doesn't have to be when you wake up for suhoor. If you didn't wake up for suhoor and you had it, khalas, alhamdulillah. Yes, please. In your conscience, yes. Yes. Because the subconscious, you yourself don't even know about it. Yes, that's ijma'an bayn al-fuqaha. Their consensus in understanding the texts, I don't have to go through the details of those texts, is that yes, every night. Amen. In the 4 schools of thought. Yes, you have to raise your hand.
So, some of the things you said, like eating everything affects your fasting. But sometimes you won't be able to control anger in a situation. You get raise your voice. Will that break your fast and make it invalid?
No, Jazakallah. His question is, as we mentioned earlier, as we spoke about some spiritual aspects of fasting, and that what Rasulullah taught us about raising our voices and about anger and about foolishness and about, he says sometimes we are incapable of curbing and controlling our anger, and we are fasting. What happens? Does that break our fast? Technically, in the fiqh sense of what are the arkan of siyam, in the fiqh sense, no, it does not. But spiritually it does. Spiritually it does. Allah, out of His mercy, Azza wa Jal, and His rahmah, He did not, in the fiqh sense, through the Sharia, did not require from us every time we do anything wrong, the fast is gone. Otherwise, probably most of us will keep repeating our fast until we die. Out of His rahmah. There are some ibad, mashallah, who won't. But again, laws are, the ahkam of the Sharia is for al-ghalib wal-nadiru la hukma lah. The ahkam of Sharia are for the prevalence of attitudes and of conditions, not for the exceptions. There are exceptions, but Allah, out of His rahmah, says the prevalence amongst us is we fumble and we make those mistakes. So out of His rahmah, that's the general attitude. Out of His rahmah, no, it does not violate your sawm technically. You will not be punished for violating your sawm, but you will be losing so much because of not upholding the spirit of fasting. And of course, there are some people who are on their own account, not that there is a fiqh teaching about that, on their own account would feel so guilty, would feel so improper, so uncomfortable. They would try to do something that Allah Azza wa Jal would rectify that for them, would forgive them, and would remove that from their records, such as after that give sadaqah, tawbah, of course, and giving sadaqah, and be kind, and make a commitment not to come back to that again. What is my sawm if I cannot even stop this? One should always be very critical about him or herself. Those who seek Allah, those who seek nearness to Allah, of course they will never be satisfied with themselves. Allah is infinite beauty, and we're staining ourselves in front of infinite beauty. Subhanallah, we cannot allow that. Jazakallah khair. Yes, please. Yes, that's a very good question. First of all, in general, I would say yes, of course. We should begin the month of Ramadan with the inner energy inside to fast for the entire month. That's in niyyah, of course. That's in niyyah. To fast, to have that internal drive, that internal energy for fasting the entire month. But because the text says, مَنْ لَمْ يُجْمِعِ الصِّيَامَ قَبْلَ الْفَجْرِ فَلَا صِيَامَ لَهُ. Because that text, in other words, was the cutting, the slicing, decisive statement about that is not enough. Because the text teaches the person who does not collect himself in the intention of fasting before dawn, then he or she has no sawm. So that's very important to keep in mind. That's required. I should do that. But perhaps some would argue, if we had that niyyah, and in this case we forgot, it just something happened and I didn't, yet I was on intent every day to fast until the end of the month, inshallah, I think in that case, bi'idhnillah, it should be okay. Inshallah ta'ala, لأنه لا تكليف إلا بمقدور. لا يكلف الله نفسا إِلَّا وُسْعَهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not hold to burden a soul by that which it cannot bear or it doesn't know. ولا تكليف إلا بمعلوم ولا تكليف إلا بمقدور, as the fiqhi axioms, the قاعدتان فقهيتان, لا تكليف إلا بمعلوم ولا تكليف إلا بمقدور. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again out of His rahmah, does not hold us to account by that which we actually do not know, or that which we are physically and mentally and spiritually also unable, it's beyond us to uphold and to do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His rahmah, He forgives us that. Amen. Yes, please. Yes, Jazakallah khairan for that spiritual also a reminder. And that's why Psalm is to teach us to be always fasting in the spiritual sense. Yes, once, if I understood your question properly, once it is Maghrib, then it doesn't mean we stop the moral spiritual fast and we unleash our tongues and we unleash our emotions. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Kareem. Had he required from us that we absolutely never make a mistake, nobody enters Jannah. So, but we have to continue. Siyam teaches me, subhanAllah, part of the beautiful inner dimensional aspects of Sawm. If I strive to do that with awareness, imanan wa ihtisaban, it will teach me to change inside. When I keep doing something, I develop a momentum for it, isn't it? That momentum keeps me going. So if we perform Sawm with this meaning, with this awareness, with this striving, it will help me continue after Ramadan to be special. And imagine I also fast Nafila and I fast the Sunan. More likely after 10 years or 15 years or so years, it depends on the catalytic factor of Allah's tawfiq. Are you with me? Or I call it catalytic factor of Allah's tawfiq. While I strive, I fast, and then the tawfiq from Allah will make it for me after that be most of the time like that. I develop the momentum. And I become a person whose tongue is always or most of the time in control. His or her emotions always or most of the time or on average in control. يصير ذلك بإذنه عز وجل وبجوده وكرمه صفة ثابتة في قلبي مع دوام العمل ودوام الاجتهاد والمجاهدة في الصوم عما لا يرضي الله عز وجل, by striving continuously to keep in fast against that which is not pleasing to Allah Azza wa Jal, I will develop that momentum and then it becomes almost natural and easy, inshallah ta'ala. So we should always be, yes, Ramadan is that we are always fasting. Hajj, we spoke of Hajj, of the interdimensional aspects of Hajj. Remember what was the conclusion at the end? If you remember, I know you attended those because alhamdulillah you're good, you're good serious brother. I'm sorry. We have learned that if we internalize the inner dimensions of Hajj, then you are always in Hajj. You become always in Hajj. If you remember the inner dimensional aspects of Hajj and what that means at the level of the qalb and so on, then you want to be always in Hajj. Always your qalb traveling to Allah. Always your qalb in seeing Allah and Allah alone. Labbaik, 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 la sharika laka labbaik. Your qalb is always like that. And if you get to the point where only Allah you are aware of in your qalb, what treasure can be equal to that? وهكذا. Salah, salah, salah. So that I end up always in salah, even when I'm not technically in salah. That's why they say, those arifun, salihun, once your qalb is in salah, is in sujood, it will never rise again. Ya Allah, give me that sujood. And the qalb is always in sujood. This is the intent, the repetitions that Allah, by His wisdom, wants us to have, that they are intended to help us develop that internal energy, to always be in meaning like that, and therefore always aware of Him, and therefore always nearest to Him, and therefore always safe and secure. بإذنه عز وجل. Yes, one more question. Yes, brother. I could not hear you well, forgive me. Aynen, Jazakallah. What is the preferable alternative for a traveling person? To not fast or to fast? Aynen. That's a very good question, and there are many texts, alhamdulillah, that help the fuqaha answer that question properly. Instead of saying this to fast or not to fast is better, that's not a good answer. That's an incomplete answer. When we look at the texts of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, many texts together, and what the fuqaha have concluded from that, and we have only a few more minutes left before iqamah. When we look at that, هناك تفصيل. We have to say more than that. And all are almost all supported by texts. So, if the traveling is harsh on you, it's difficult, and you think, well, it's difficult, I'm going to fast. فيه مشقة فعلا، مشقة فعلية حاصلة واقعة، not فقط fictitious مشقة، واقعة حقيقية, and it is really, it hurts, it debilitates you from doing something else that is important and obligatory and rightful and so on, that in this case, not fasting is better. That's why he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, should be taken in this context. لَيْسَ مِنَ الْبِرِّ الصِّيَامُ فِي السَّفَرِ. In this context, not taking it out of context. لَيْسَ مِنَ الْبِرِّ الصِّيَامُ فِي السَّفَرِ. That's why he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it is not meritorious and it is not virtuous, of special virtue, to fast during traveling. In other words, I'm traveling, it's hard, hardship, I'm going to fast. If you're like that, you eat. But if I am a nafs who loves to indulge in ease, and traveling does not debilitate me, is not in any way hard and harsh and harmful to me. On the contrary, and I have a nafs that is a big nafs, and it loves dunya, and it loves to indulge, cannot wait until this month is over. Well, in this case, you're traveling, fast. You may fast. Because even the Sahaba radhiyallahu ta'ala anhum did that. Because I said for each of these opinions there are texts, and related authentic texts, where during with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was fasting, they didn't fast. And in expeditions and so on, they also didn't fast, and he even recommended them not to fast, sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So this is, I think, with a little bit of tafsir, with a little bit of explanation, one has to come to the conclusion that it is neither that nor that, depending on the condition of the person. Naam, not to fast, alhamdulillah, is there. Which is better, it depends on the condition of the person and the drive of the person and the aina. Yes. Truly, yeah, there are many considerations indeed. When we take them, we would come to the conclusion that not fasting would be a better alternative, not only a good alternative, sometimes it is a better alternative, and sometimes fasting is a good and a better alternative. Alhamdulillah. So if you see someone not fasting in traveling, as long as it is not done for the wrong reasons, respect that. And if you see someone fasting, alhamdulillah, and you think, well, he's wasting his time, this is just a 3-hour flight or so, this is enough, don't make that judgment. You don't know. In both there would be khair, inshallah ta'ala, as long as the proper conditions are there. Aina. One last question. Yes. Okay, that's a very good question. It will take some time to elaborate upon. We'll do that next time, inshallah, when we meet next week, when we speak of mustahabbat of siyam, inshallah ta'ala, and we speak about that. I know probably the concept of ta'khir al-suhoor wa ta'jil al-fitr, right? The concept of expediting the iftar and delaying the suhoor. That has also, it's not the answer that usually you are given, and that is given, ta'jil al-fitr, Allahu Akbar, boom. Eat, drink. That's the sunnah. Actually, I will surprise you if you don't already know that that's not what the sunnah says. That needs explanation. Therefore, we go on to investigate what the ulama, rahimahullah ta'ala, have said in understanding that text and many other texts together, and even the practice of our predecessors, radiallahu ta'ala anhum wa arwahum. What did they do under these circumstances? That will take at least 15 to 20 minutes briefly to answer that question, inshallah ta'ala. So it's not urgent since Ramadan did not start yet, inshallah ta'ala. وصلى اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين الطيبين وأصحابه الصالحين الغر الميامين والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. زاهد.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد